Yo, go Perth, go Panthers, woo! Oh, yes, Panthers. If I had a song, I'd be singing it right now. If you didn't know, Perth Panthers have gotten into the ANZPL finals for Season 3 World of Tanks, and I'm just a little bit excited. You should have seen me on Friday, and I am banging the desk. I am clapping. I was very happy. Very, very happy.
Meanwhile, I'm crying into my cereal. Action X, why? Why?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to come at the expense of somebody, but we will come to that a bit later on because we've got some other esports news that we want to cover off first before we go on to World of Tanks stuff. But first of all, how are you doing, Natty? How have you been? What have you been watching?
Wait, whoa. Well, that was a lot of questions.
Is it?
I'm doing good. It's been pretty cool for TFT. Riot have been running a PBE tournament. So set 6 isn't even out of the gate yet. It's still in the test realm. And they're running tournaments with the streaming pros out of the test realm.
Oh.
Anyway.
So what's PB? Is that just personal best, or is that something else?
No, PBE is something. It's a test environment. It's where they put all the patches and the everything
like a
before
public test server or something like that.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. I'm used to it being something else, but TFT I think is unique and calls it PBE. So, yeah. But yes, public test realm, absolutely.
Maybe public beta environment.
Maybe I'm used to PVT, public verification testing, but acronyms and IT, it's one of those things. Anyway,
so we get
lots of fun.
We get UAT, user acceptance testing, just to make sure.
Oh yeah, no, UAT happens in PVT.
But anyway, so we got a little bit to talk about. So we're going to switch over, and I'm just going to make sure I got the volume okay for this, because otherwise
I didn't even ask how you were.
I am great. I'm like I said, I'm still riding high from Friday. I've had a weekend and a couple of days of work in between there, and I'm still riding high. So that's good. Woo-hoo. So let me just check the Elgato volume. Yes, cool. That's a good one, because we got a bit of a clip, and there's some loud noises in this.
Morning.
Yeah, and some
language.
Some adult language. So basically what we're seeing here is the Chiefs taking on Elevate in a Rainbow Six Siege. And this is them getting entry into Six Major Sweden.
Woohoo!
So cool. So bloody cool. Australian team qualifying for another international event. You love to see it.
Absolutely. And another brilliant thing that this is an event that is actually going ahead in a LAN format, and our Aussies are all heading over. All signs point to yes for them heading over and competing in person, which is awesome.
Yep. And it's good at the moment too, because those outside of Australia, we're starting to open up a little bit more. Western Australia is still lagging behind a little bit in that, which, to be honest, I'm a little bit okay with. But other states, New South Wales, I think South Australia announced a plan to open up to international travel as well, which means it's
November 23rd. Yeah,
and I think a lot of those are involving people that are vaccinated being able to get back in without having to quarantine. So that means international travel is becoming easier for these teams. So hopefully we don't get like what we had for the Last Chance Valorant qualifier, where it just ends up being super hard, or people aren't expecting certain things that are happening. So it just means that more people can go to international events, and I'm super excited about that.
That is, completely exciting, and so happy for these guys to be able to travel. Just awesome. Good way to end off the year with a few Worlds tournaments where we've got some representatives. So
hell yeah. And I always love hearing the voice comms for these teams, and
I just love how one of the guys was like, wait, is that it?
Yeah.
Did you do it? Is that it? Everybody else is just going off their nuts, so excited. And he's just like, wait, what?
Wait, what happened? As it reminds me, and because I play hockey myself, and we versed a team who was second on the ladder, and the only team that this team had lost to all year was the team in first. And we ended up beating them 2-1, I think it was. And we've come off the field and we're talking to our manager of the team who also plays for us. And he's going, oh, yeah, we did well. And then he looks at the scorecard and goes, holy shit, we won. Well, I thought we drew, but we won. And that's what this guy in his voice comms reminds me of, is just that, like, wait, we did it? We did it.
We did it. We did it. Oh.
So good. So good. But that's not the only world international sort of news that we got going on at the moment, because the LOL Worlds is still going on too. So we're down to the last 4 teams. It's almost there, almost over. This month-long event for League of Legends is coming to a close. Unfortunately, we've seen there's the North American team Cloud9 and the European team Mad Lions have been knocked out, but really, let's face it, Mad Lions were playing Damwon Kia in that last round. They are undefeated.
So always going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, that's it. They went 6-0 in the group stages. Damwon Kia, I mean, and like they've had their win against Mad Lions was 3-0. They've got to be favourites at this point to take the whole thing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And we unfortunately also saw Cloud9 go out, as you mentioned, which means our last Aussie out on the field has been taken out. So Fudge, unfortunately couldn't get the team through. What is really exciting though is all those teams are taking home quite a sizable amount of cash, even though they were knocked out in 5th to 8th position. So we've got all of those teams taking 4.5% of the total prize pool, which is around 100,000 USD. So
that is
nice little drop there.
Just a nice little amount to be able to take home to mum and dad, or maybe partners, or I don't know who they might be taking. They might be taking it home to their dogs. Yeah, either way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice that those lower price brackets are still taking home a nice amount of money. Hopefully they continue to support their teams into the next season.
Yeah. I did manage to catch the Gen G and Cloud9 game the other day.
Yeah.
And Cloud9 were just trying so hard, and they would show bits of they're in control, and then all of a sudden Gen G would just come in and yeah, it wasn't that Cloud9 played badly, it's just that Gen G were better.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any picks for the semi-finals? We've got Edward Gaming and Gen G, and then we've got T1 versus Damwon.
Well, I think you've got to go Damwon Gaming over T1, but
yeah. So I'll pick against you on that one, only because Faker is just one of the greatest of all time, and if his team wins, he would be cemented in that, as far as I'm concerned, and it would be certainly up against a massive team that's been succeeding so well in this tournament so far. So I'll go for the underdog, but also the not underdog, because they have the GOAT on their team.
That's it. Yeah. But in terms of Edward Gaming versus Gen G, that's a bit harder. Like, I mean, in the quarterfinals, Edward Gaming did have the 3-2 against RNG, as opposed to the 3-0 that Gen G had against Cloud9. But I feel that RNG are the stronger opponent out of those. So I don't think that's an indication of the difficulty in those games. And the Gen G Cloud9 game was the first game I watched since Peace got eliminated. So it's I haven't watched a lot, so I don't know. What the what they're playing, what their game style is like at the moment, or how hard these games have been. But look, from what I saw from Gen G, I think I would go with them. They were playing pretty well. Well enough to get into the final.
I'll go Edward Gaming. All right.
Just so we can have a bit of conflict for
now that Adelaide and Perth are done for World of Tanks, we've got to find something else to keep us entertained. Yes, I've got T1 Edward, you've got Gen G and Damwon here. So we'll see next week how we go.
I'm writing that down.
All right, good, good,
Yeah,
good. Got to hold me to it.
that's it.
So we've got the games this weekend. Obviously, that will determine who goes into the grand finals, which will be the weekend after.
Yep.
So all wrapping up quite nicely in the next few weeks.
Yep, very exciting stuff. But also, that's the LoL Worlds is not the only international competition going on at the moment either. So there is the CS:GO competition, PGL Major Stockholm, who are currently doing their new challenger stage settings. So, and our Australian team Renegades are having a little bit of a mixed bag at the moment, but they're still in with a chance. They're still in the competition, so they've got the chance to get through to the next stage of events there too. So for those that haven't been paying attention to what's been going on there, it took me a little while to understand it as well, and Natty and myself were both really talking about this, trying to sort out the
Yes.
finals, because it wasn't quite straightforward. So the way it started is that the teams in the challenger bracket all play each other once. The winners of those go into a high bracket, and the losers go into a low bracket. So, unfortunately, Renegades lost in the first round. So they lost, what was it, 16-13. So a relatively close game there that they lost in the first round to Riders. So that was that was pretty close, but puts them in the lower bracket. And then they come back with a 14-16 win in the lower bracket, which put them in the mid bracket for round 3. So the winners from the high bracket got entry into the next phase, and the losers got to play in the high bracket for round 3. Actually, is that... No, sorry. I think I stand corrected there. Because it's only after round 3 that they start going into the next bracket. So the losers from the round 2 high matches went into the mid matches as well. So, and now in this round 3, that's when teams will start qualifying for the next stage. But it was just happening as we were getting ready to go to air, because I was looking up results for RNG's next match, and it was 13-2, and I'm going, oh, has the game stopped for some reason? Why didn't they finish that? And then I realised that it was happening as we were speaking. So didn't look so good then, with a 13-2 deficit for Renegades to overcome, but they did pull it back quite a bit. Ended up going down 16-9, but to win 7 games to 3 there, that's quite an achievement, I think.
Yeah, for them to come back really shows, I think, that they can turn the momentum when they need to. So that's 3 rounds all done now. So they lost the first round, won the second one, lost the third. Maybe they can pull the last 2 together and land in that top 8 to go through to the next round.
That's it. Fingers crossed. They will be playing tomorrow, I believe, for the low matches. So they'll need a win to stay alive in that competition, and hopefully make it through to the Legends bracket. I think it is Legends stage. Sorry.
New Legends stage even.
New Legends.
We need another word in there.
New Legends. Yeah, we've got a lot of legends around.
Yes.
But yeah, so that'll be coming up. Where teams like Ninjas in Pajamas, Furia Esports, Natus Vincia, Team Vitality, Team Liquid, Gambit Esports, G2, and Evil Geniuses are all currently waiting for the 8 qualifiers from the new Challenger stage to come through, and then they'll play that out until they get to the Champion stage. Whew,
Lots of actions happening.
A lot of stages. Like there's a...
Well, I think they're really generous with the amount of teams that can vie to get in, which is really good. And having that international competition, I think, with such a broad amount of teams, really does help get the cream of the crop coming to the top.
It definitely does. And what is? Oh, sorry, I'm gonna drag to my Twitter because there was something I posted the other day, and it was in response to something, and I should live and dangerous tweet Twitter here. So there was a tweet I saw from a guy called Isaac McIntyre. And also, yeah, apologies to Natty because I gave no warning for this at all. It
Oh, that's all
just
right.
just suddenly
You'll
occurred to me, and
you'll get my candid reaction.
that's
That's
it.
like
That's it.
a whole thing, isn't it?
Um,
We can go viral, right?
that's right. So, yeah, tweet from Isaac McIntyre. He was talking about, he was listening to a podcast called Hotline League. And one of the callers suggested the world's expansion via second seeds a la World Cup with Brazil 2, Oceania 2, etc. And their response was, no one wants to watch BR2 versus Japan 2, which leads to the question, why does that matter? And he goes through some fairly prominent points that I think is a very good argument for why those teams should be allowed a second entry and why expanding the competitions in that way and not just letting the big regions get more teams into it, because the only way you make those smaller regions better is by giving them more international experience. And that's what we're seeing here with the Rainbow Six tournament at the moment. Because there's so many teams that are getting entry there, so many of them are getting exposure, and you learn. The only way you get better is with experience, and by increasing your competition, especially in any competition, letting the minor regions or the wildcard regions get more entry, you're going to make them better and make them more competitive. Like it's one thing to have, like Oceania as a example here, you know, PGG go across for MSI, Peace go across for World. They come back with all this experience, but then they come back and play in OCE where you have to fight, and like you get over there. If you qualify again, you have to go through everything and learn again to make sure that you can compete at that level. Whereas if you send two teams, say if 1 and 2 qualify, that means, well, for this year in the LCO, both Peace and Pentanet.gg would have gone across to Worlds and to MSI, and just think of that experience they would have brought back.
I really like it from the idea of purely more inexperienced teams potentially going over with an experienced team as well. So in the case of not that PGG was this in this instance, because they had 3 players with already with big international experience already, but you know, you've got PGG, they just went over in the middle of the year. If they went across with an inexperienced team, they can kind of show them the ropes and help them get used to the production and help them make the most of the media experiences and maybe build opportunities for sponsorship and all those things that help develop the region, not just player skill, but all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it, because it's especially in the world that we're in at the moment, like OCE, well not OCE, LCO hasn't had a LAN final yet. Like,
No, that's right. We've been thwarted by COVID,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, and only being in operation this year, we've got all these people and potentially players. Like I'm not sure how many of the players in the current LCO came across from the OPL, but you've got all these players that may have never played a LAN final.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
boggles my mind a
absolutely.
bit. Like it's a huge difference. It's when you go from playing in your own room, where if you're lucky, like some of the teams have gotten together and they're sort of in the same house at least, so they're talking together and playing together that way. But then you go and put them on a stage in front of other people and with all these flashing lights, and yeah, it's another experience altogether.
Yeah, I think purely the media side of an experience like that can be enough to throw somebody.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that we've been limited with LAN, absolutely, I agree. That would be impacting our team. Not only the fact that we only have 1 international slot, so when we have MSI and Worlds, we aren't gaining the amount of experience that I think the region needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, on this podcast, what else did the host say? Was there anything else a bit
Um,
more controversial or interesting that he pointed out?
not Not super. So it was just the one question from that podcast that the Isaac McIntyre was talking about. Um, he also compared a little bit to the comment was nobody wants to watch these second sides play, and he likened it back to the Soccer World Cup as well, where you go, these teams have supporters in their home countries as well, and being able to get them that exposure, the fans of those teams will watch these games. It's like if you watch any international sporting event, like actually here's one: the Cricket 2020 World Cup is happening in Australia at the moment. If I'm going to watch a game, I'm probably going to watch an Australian game. I'm not going to watch any of the other little sides or any of the little minnows like. I'm going to say Bangladesh, but in terms of all the sides that seem to come out of the woodwork for these tournaments, they're not even minnows anymore. They're like mid-tier teams that come out. And being able to do that for a side that came second in a competition as well, it lets the fans see that, but it also gives those teams extra leverage with sponsors and things like that, and gets the chance to inject more money into the game. And yeah, like might be some league people out there that will watch every single game of the world's tournament or the MSI tournament, but that doesn't mean that you should stop other people participating because you think that it's going to be a shit game. The only way these sides get better is if they compete against quality opposition.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's a couple of things there. If you don't like the idea of it, don't watch it.
But it's my game, damn it.
Don't be sour. Don't be a gatekeeper,
Yeah.
man. But the other thing really there that I think is important is what you were talking about, that transfer of fans. So if you have local team here that has a decent fan pool, you encourage them to watch the international league. That's growing the whole sport. And I know that Australia isn't the biggest fish in the sea when it comes to audience, but that's another way that the local scene is going to grow if we, keep developing interest in the international and we have more representation of the international.
That's it. Yeah, it's I always look at it and I go back to it a lot because I'm a recent comer to esports really, and LCO was where I really started watching. I've been learning about the other leagues and the other finals out there, but the LCO was where I cut my teeth. And watching PGG go over to MSI, and their Twitter followers jump from like 1,000 to 10,000 in the space of that tournament. And not only that, but then all the LCO. Like I would really like to see some stats on the LCO viewership from Split 1 to Split 2 for this year. Because I reckon...
after MSI, you think that MSI would have made a big difference?
Oh, yeah, I think it would have. Because I think... I know PGG got a lot of Brazilian viewers from their stint at MSI. And being in chat when those games were being played, you got to see... Like, there was a fair number of people saying, I'm from Brazil in there. So I would have liked to have seen if there was any sort of significant increase in viewership, because I think there would have been. And that's from a team going to an international event, and allowing more teams to do that can not only be good for those teams, but for the local competitions as well.
Yeah, I think one thing we possibly haven't touched on, but what I really like about seeing the wildcard teams play is seeing the unique and wonderful strats that come out of nowhere. Like we saw, Peace pull some really interesting drafting that hasn't been seen at Worlds, and that's something that you're missing out on. How different regions develop their play styles and how they adapt to to the international tournament really is something that I find really interesting. And I think a lot of people do find that, where some regions are more aggressive, some push more early stage, some push more late stage. Seeing that melting pot of different play styles come together is just interesting. And why would you not want more diversity in that, especially when you have the wildcard regions just throwing everything at it, right? They're more likely to do that hyper aggressive, exciting play that I know you and I both appreciate. So yeah, there's lots of ideas. I mean, I guess from Riot's side of things, that we're assuming it's a money issue, right?
I'm not sure. Like, I personally wouldn't think it's a money issue. It might be not wanting to overreach, because they're probably in this pretty sweet spot where they can afford to put on an event like that and still make shit tons of money from everything that they do in the game and the events that they do. But I guess it could be a money thing. Like, in terms of OCE, it might be a money thing, but in terms of the wildcard regions in general, I'm not sure. And in general, like, I don't know enough about the costs involved in getting teams over there, really. But, like, I think if it's an investment either way, if you're looking to grow the region and you're looking to grow the league, then getting more teams, like, and I'm not just saying from OCE as well, like, we're talking about Brazil, we're talking about regions outside of North America, Europe and Asia that can have teams and have an interest, but they're just struggling to grow it a bit. And yeah.
I think my only other thing that I actually think for the LCO and for Riot would be a better choice, getting one of our best casters, analysts over there, because just watching well, a familiar voice while you're watching a game makes a huge difference to whether you pick up and run with that or not. And I think that that's something I've really missed at Worlds this year, not hearing an Aussie on comms, just taking me through the game and what's going on, because it brings that familiarity. It makes me want to watch more games if I've got that going. So maybe that's a temporary, more cost-effective solution for our region in particular, where we don't have any representation on the current analyst desk. So
yeah, and it would be nice to having an Australian voice when Australian teams are playing too, just because I feel like there was a couple of times when somebody did pick Peace to win in Worlds, and they kind of got laughed down a bit, and then when they won, it was just like, hey, told you they were going to do it. But yeah, it would be nice to have an Australian voice on there. But anyway, speaking of Australian voices, there's lots of Australian voices and some New Zealand voices in World of Tanks.
Oh, a nice segue.
It is. Thank you. I think I worked really hard at that. I suddenly the speaking of came out of my mouth, and I went, how am I going to link this? Oh, there's something in there somewhere. I can do that. I can do this. And I got there.
You pulled it out.
That's
Grab
it.
it out of the hat. You got it. And I pointed it out.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're just now that we've hung a lantern on that. That's all good.
Yes.
So yes, the end of the home and away. Well, I call it the home and away. So probably regular season is probably a better description. For ANZPL season 3 has come to an end. Some amazing games, and what's even more amazing is that this last round there were 2 teams locked into the finals already. That couldn't change. Their position could change, but they were guaranteed to play finals. But the other 2 slots, there were
up for grabs.
That's it. They were up for grabs. There was only one team in the whole of the league that couldn't make finals. So that was made for.
So exciting. It's the final game of the season. So exciting.
Oh, it really is. And it was just made for some exciting games coming up. So first of all, we're going to have a look at some clips for the ANZPL Season 3 Ironside Coffee Hot Shots competition. So our first match here is the Bulldogs versus Matildas. So this one entitled "But Not for Me" on the old "Call an ambulance, but not for me." So Ravi's hold down here a little bit, and we've got two Matildas players that are there. Soldat's doing his best to cover, but with the three Matildas players coming in, this should be a dead Ravi if I'm just being that way, but. Bolognese cops some early shots and goes down. Ravi just manages to survive as well. Some heavy shots on the Mary Turnip. And what is a 3v2 ends up going the way of the two. It was a little bit surprising, but if you have a look at the health at the end of there, like the Bulldogs had bled out a fair bit with the health, and it was reasonably close in health still. And it comes back to a 3v3 pretty quickly. But Matilda's having 2+2 being pretty healthy helped them a lot there. And they actually went on to win this game. In fact, the Matildas took out this match 4-0. So that was pretty impressive against the Bulldogs, who took, I think for the first 2-3 rounds, they were sitting on top of the ladder, so that was a little bit of a slide down for the Bulldogs, and we'll talk about where they finished up at the end of this. But yeah, so that was well done by the Matildas, and that I think that game actually also secured their in third place. So now we had all the teams fighting for the last finals position. Next, we've got the Sentinels versus the Archers. Archers also with a chance on making the finals here. So you can see Rainbow up on the hill there, sorry, and it's just a little bit blurry. I can't quite see the name. I think it's Safi for the Archers. Oh, there we go. It's just cleared up. Yeah, so Safi's come up here. He's seen Rainbow, and he gets a couple of shots in. Speed's over there too, but I'm not sure if you could see him. But just, yeah, I don't think Rainbow really knew what was happening there. And Safi manages to get the early kill there for the Archers. I can't remember the exact result of this match. I remember how the whole thing turned it out, but I can't quite remember who won it. But like getting ignited, that's just that's the bleed damage that you get.
Yeah, you're always in trouble once that kicks off. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then just Safi being able to come in and finish it off, and but yeah, made for an interesting round. But once again, I'm refraining for saying how the match turned out, or how the whole thing turned out, just because the Archers had a chance of making the finals. The Sentinels were one of the two teams that were guaranteed to play finals, so the main effect for them would be where they would finish up on the ladder, depending on how the Archers did. So then the third game. So this is the game that wasn't going to affect who made finals, but could affect the Scorpions' position, because they were also the other team that was guaranteed finals. And you can see here, like the way they just rolled around that corner and just took so much out of Buff. Like, you may as well have killed him, because he can't get much out of that now. Yeah, he's virtually out of that game. He's still a gun there and might be able to get one shot off if he's lucky, but just this peppering here, like 3 shots, 4 shots into him, 5 shots, and he's so close to dying, it's not funny. It was great focus fire from the Scorpions there, Napalmer, Aussie and Russian there. Russian, quite a favourite of mine in my fantasy team. He was doing pretty well for me. So yeah, and that was a game there. The Conquerors, they've had moments of brilliance, but haven't quite been able to translate it. I think they were the first team to beat the Bulldogs this season as well, at the start of their slide. But yeah, they've had some good moments as well. The last game, between my Perth Panthers and Natty's Adelaide Action X there. Um, so I'm going to try and not talk about this, but this clip might give it away what the
Give it
end
away a
result
bit,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see the Panthers are trying the two base capture straight. You don't see that very often, but it does put some pressure onto to each team about which one they're going to try and capture. And in the end, it's the two flag two flag that's probably the easier one to capture, because Val's over here trying to race to get over there, but Goober with a fantastic tracking shot means that Val can't move anymore, and his tank in particular is one with the cannon fixed at the front, so he can't even swing his cannon to try and get a shot on. So great shot by Goober there to bring that
To disable him.
to disable him and get the capture there. So don't forget as if you're going to if you want to have a vote on these for the Ironside coffee competition, I'm just going to hang on when I copy the link. Copy link address. Have a vote on them for which you think was the best clip, for your chance to win some Ironside coffee with their special World of Tanks Arabica blend that they've got going on there. Sorry, Nadia, I cut you off.
No. I was just wondering how many playable tanks for the league have that thing where the turret is just forward. Might not be something that you know off the top of your head, but it is really interesting how things like that come into play, near the end of the game, where you've got a tank that's more maneuverable, or a tank where, they've got something like that going on and you can disable them and take away the wind. So
yeah, I'm not sure myself.
Right,
I know that they are limited in the tanks that they can get. Like there's no rewards tanks. And in fact, talking to some of the players, the players that qualify for the ANZPL actually get given a special account that has the tanks in it that they're able to pick from, so that they can scrim. So it also means that they don't have to grind to try and get these tanks and play with them.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah, and I know myself, like I'm grinding through tier 4 at the moment with but that tank has a fixed cannon, and I find that quite hard to play. It's just not being able to rotate the rotunda around. I mean, it has advantages from having a lower profile, and I think it's harder to hit and kill like the driver and stuff like that, but it means you're less maneuverable. If you get tracked like that, all of a sudden you can't get a shot off. It's and there's a reason why the tanks that you see them playing have the rotating rotunda. It makes things a fair bit easier. But in this case, Action X decided to bring in the STRV, and they must. I think they were sitting. From memory, they were sitting Val up on the hill there just to try and spot things out, and so it must have some pretty good aim and pack a bit of a punch to be able to take down some tanks. But
you're absolutely assuming that there's some benefits to outweigh the issues.
Might be more. Like my knowledge of the individual tanks isn't up there.
That's all right.
But yeah,
that's what we're working on.
That's it. That's
annoying you with these questions. We can find out from experts.
Yep, that's why we watch, so we can learn as well, and like the ANZPL has been so fun to watch, and because it is tanks, it's quite easy to pick up. I find and because it also I find it moves slower, and that may not sound like a good thing, but because it does go slower and the action happens slower, you've got more of a chance to understand what's going on. There are times I'll go and watch Rainbow Six or I'll watch Valorant, and action will happen and I'll have no idea what just happened, and a team's won, and it's just like, cool.
I had this discussion recently about Rocket League, because you think soccer with cars. That actually translates really well. I think a lot of people could pick it up, but just because of how high paced it is, all the trick shots, the crazy things that they're doing, I think it does leave some of us behind sometimes. So, yeah, good that World of Tanks has a good pacing to it. I think in that way for the observers.
There's still a lot more to it. Like, having watched 3 seasons of World of Tanks, like, it's given me some ideas for strategies, and you watch them play and talking with the players as well, and knowing that, like, this is a better idea to do. That has helped a lot, but I still get impatient sometimes and go, Leroy Jenkins, and promptly get blown up. Yeah.
Uh, that I guess just that also comes from frustration of not knowing what the right decision is in that moment, which is
I
something you
know.
build over time. Yeah.
I know that that's the wrong decision, but I get bored just sitting there and watching, so I want to go and blow stuff up. But yeah. But anyway, after all that, let's have a look at the results for this round. So you can see Matildas decimated the Bulldogs 4-0, and even after Ravi and Soldat, I'm pretty sure it was Soldat, taking that 3-on-2 there, still didn't manage to win that game and go down 4-0. And coincidentally, that made it the first season in ANZPL history that Bulldogs have not made the finals. Yeah.
Wow.
And you can say that, yes, that's because we're only in season 3, but it's
It's
still
yeah.
a historic thing. Just like it's historical that nobody's going to finish ninth, because like the first season they had 9 teams in the league, and then they stopped that. So yeah, they'll never. Well, I won't say never, but at this point in time, there's not a 9th team, so you don't get somebody finishing 9th. Then, of course, the Auckland Archers, they also had to win. I think they even had to win 4-0, I think, to give themselves the best chance of getting into the finals there. Fortunately, couldn't do it against North Sydney Sentinels, but that was always going to be a tough match. Sentinels being the reigning 2-time ANZPL champs, and Rainbow as a shot caller has a huge amount of respect in the community there. So that's... was always going to be a tough ask of the Archers, but glad to see them firing there. I had a little bit of a hiccup in the middle, but they were still competitive right to the end. The game that probably surprised a lot of people, and it may have been a little bit of Scorpions going in a little bit too softly, and Conquerors going, come on lads, let's try and win this last game.
Let's bring it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's bring it. So the Scorpions ended up with the tiebreaker win against the Conquerors. So, yeah, the Conquerors have the ability to surprise teams, just like we were talking about earlier about the teams that play differently and that maybe not with a similar sort of experience to all the other teams, and they don't play the same way. So they come out with some totally different strats.
Yeah, I think it's really good to see that, especially like in the game leading up to the finals, some different things coming out.
But yep, and tell you what was really exciting. This is the last match of the regular season, deciding which team plays finals. And yeah, Action X, if they got anything better than a tiebreaker loss or better, they were going to win that. They were going through to finals, and Panthers just bringing out some of the plays that they did, it was super incredible to watch, and getting the 3-1 win and qualifying in that 4th place for finals. So with all that said and done, let's have a look at the ladder and see the makeup of the teams. The Sentinels, they're on top. 4 wins, 1 tiebreaker win, and 2 tiebreaker losses to give them 16 points up on top there. Scorpions and Matildas making up spots 2 and 3. Scorpions, I think, had a better head-to-head than what Matildas did, so they ended up with the 2nd spot, and Matildas in 3rd, both on 14 points. Same with the Panthers and the Action X, so they ended up on the same points, but because Panthers had beaten Action X, then that's what determines what got them up into that bracket. So unfortunately, Action X, Bulldogs, Archers, and Conquerors miss out on a finals berth. But it's been such a great season. Good to see all teams picked up at least a win.
That's really good to see. At least they were all competitive at some
That
point.
that's it.
No,
Yeah,
nobody got pantsed.
that's exactly right. And every team took home some tiebreaker points. So that's pretty
Oh,
cool to
that's
see as
really
well.
interesting.
Yeah. So Action X and Bulldogs didn't get any tiebreaker loss points, but they got some tiebreaker win points. And the Panthers, Archers, and Conquerors didn't get any tiebreaker win points, but they got some tiebreaker loss points. So that's quite interesting to see. And I quite like as well that there's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16. Oh, hang on. We can't count them like that. 8. 8. I just went through and counted. Oh, no, because, yeah, so that's 8. 8.
Is it too late for maths?
No, that's all right. I started counting them going, I'm just going to call these, and that'll make it 16 what would have been tied games last season. Go, no, wait,
No.
that doesn't work. No, that's 8. 8 tied
Yes.
games that would have happened under last season's rules. So having the tiebreaker wins and tiebreaker losses has stopped the ANZ Let's 2-2 memes that are going around, and just gets that extra bit of division between all the teams. So that's been really great to see, and not and like it's a result as well, like, because having a draw is a little bit, we didn't lose, but we didn't win either. So good to see that the tiebreaker games coming in, and how they're going to. Hopefully they'll stick around. I think they've been good for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's way better than having so many rematches and things to try and split difference. We saw that in the League of Legends world. So we had so many tiebreaker games last weekend. So it's nice to have it built in where you've got that, point difference there to separate the teams.
Yeah, cool. And now what most people probably want to see, next week's games. We got a different graphic for this one because we want to see how people go in the finals. So we've got the South Sydney Scorpions versus the Melbourne Matildas for semi-final 1, kicking off on Friday, twitch.tv/World of Tanks ANZ at 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. This will go. I need to double check this. I think it will be a best of 7. Finals are normally best of 7. So stepping away from the best of 5 format that we got at the moment for the regular season, making it a little bit longer, and it means that semi-final 2 between the North Sydney Sentinels and Perth Panthers won't kick off until 9 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So the winner of those 2 games gets to have a week off and go into the grand final game. The losers will play off the week after for the 3rd place spot.
So you do know that the Panthers have to win, right?
Oh, yeah.
They have to win the grand final.
It's going to happen. They're going to beat the Sentinels. They're going to wipe the floor with them. It's done.
No way Adelaide lost to not the winners.
That's it. Yeah, we'll make sure we will avenge everybody. We're going to beat them, and then we're going to beat like either Scorpions or Matildas the next week. It's just going to happen. It's the way it's going. Yeah. Lastly, though, we do have one little thing, and that I haven't pulled up for Natty to be able to look at. So I'm just going to quickly bring that up now.
No worries.
We have to see the last round. Well, I do have to clarify this because I'm pretty sure it's the last round of fantasy, but I'm not 100% on that.
I'm trying to change my roster for this weekend, and it's not letting me do anything. So I think it's done, but you have a play and let me know.
See, I was able to get a roster in for this week.
Oh, well,
which confused me a little bit. But if you have a look at, I'm just going to switch over to the Elgato so you can see what I see here. So, what was I looking for? Oh, standings. That's right. So when you have a look at the prize standings, so these are the the people eligible to win it. They've put the prizes in there. So Rupro, IKJ007 and Toddy 339 have then, and the prizes I don't think were there next to people before. So I don't think, and historically they haven't played in finals as well, just because it's was too hard to get the system to take out the teams that weren't playing and things like that. So
yeah, no, it looks like it's all available for me. I just was doing the wrong thing as per usual.
Yeah, so maybe they're doing a special final series one. I'm not sure, and especially because you can only have 2 players from a team. Once you get to the grand final, the third place playoff and the grand final, where there's only 2 teams playing, it means you can only have four players. So there was a little bit of trickiness around there that I don't know if they'd worked out how to get through. But in terms of the prize standings, I think they've won the prizes. So for first place, you've got a HyperX Alloy Origins 60 keyboard, a Noble Chair, Hero Black Edition, and 10,000 in-game gold. Second place has got a HyperX keyboard as well, and 5,000 gold, and third place got 5,000 gold. So unfortunately, I didn't quite make the cut, even after my magnificent round of first place a couple of weeks ago. Of eligible players that could win, I came 14th in the end, so I'm counting that as a win.
Oh, excellent! I would count that as a win too. That's not bad.
Would you like to know where you've come, Natty?
No, I already know.
Okay.
So...
but in terms of overall, I came 23rd, so that's all right.
Yeah, I was in the 80s, but I look at it as a good place to make an improvement for next season.
That's it. That's it. Also helps if you get in at the beginning of the rounds as well.
Yes. Not to say that that's what made the difference.
It might have, if you could have pulled 900, 1,000.
Yeah, if I made the team every round, maybe.
But yeah, so that's the fantasy league for this season as well. But that's about it for nuts and bolts for this week. I haven't missed anything, have I, Natty?
No, I think we've covered off everything. The only thing I want to say is the PUBG Worlds is coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So we're not going to be broadcasting next week. Mm-hmm. Is that next week? Just because we'll have the lovely Pete here doing some Lenovo Legion community games and some things with that. But we will be back the following week. So we'll have the PUBG news, we'll have some Major news, we'll have... the Tanks updates, so lots to look forward to.
Yep, and I apologise to everybody. I think my internet is slowly dying, so that Natty was cutting in and out a little bit there. But yes,
that's okay.
Yeah, just to reiterate, there will be no nuts and bolts next week because we'll have Pete, the lovely Pete, playing some Lenovo Legion community games. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, we'll still be around, and I'm still going to be around for tonight. We're going to go jump in and try and play some Guardians of the Galaxy, which I've been having some fun with. Hope you guys will stick around and watch that.
Awesome. Thank you, as always, Jim. Great cast.
And thank you too, Natty, and we'll catch you all when we see you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for stopping by to watch this video. If you like what you've seen, why not check out this video here? Or if you really like us, drop us a subscribe. And don't forget to like and comment as well. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.